Okay, here's just a quick video. Show you what I did. This is on the test box only at this point. And this is just editing data, not the whole everything. But what you need to do is, if you could do this for me, look at the symbology and make sure the symbology representing where you're at and it's the correct symbology. Switch over to okay. So if you're in Pro, you guys both know Pro, so I'm going to get totally into the detail on this, but you guys need to add a connection to the test box, citytestmaps.riversideca.gov/portal. Okay. How did you get that? If you don't have it in there, you go to project, go to portal, type in https://citytestmaps.riversideca.gov/portal, and then you right click on it and you make it the active portal. Active portal is the little checkbox. Come over here and I say set as active. Now this is the checkbox, but we need it on city test, so I'll go back to that is active. And the reason we need that as the active portal is the data that we're accessing is on city test right now. So, and whatever we're logged in here, whatever is your active portal, is your portal on this tab right here. So this information here references the data that's right here. So the first thing we're going to do is right now I have an untitled document open, and we're going to go to the fourth button. And you could go to the third button, I suppose. Look for groups. There's two data sets that are out here, and I haven't. Basically, the way we have currently set up for transportation planning is we have a circulation layer that's both exposed to both traffic and planning. No one's ever edited it. I think I'm the last one that edited it. It was about 3 years ago. There's nothing in there right now. So, but you guys have access to that group on City Test, and you will when I'm done. Right now, you only have access to what's in planning edits. So, what I did there is look at that. Circulation is already there. I need to move that. I need to move it to the other one. It's weird. Okay, yeah, that's weird. Okay. I probably did that when I did that. So, and for now, traffic hasn't done it yet. So the other one dies. Okay, so you can either go third button. Third button on here is my groups. Now, if these aren't your groups, so you'll want to go to my organization. From my organization, you're going to want to click. It will show content. You're going to want to click groups. Once you go to groups, go find planning edit, double click, open it up. Now there's two different types of symbols here. The first one, which is right here, that's a feature service. That's the data you're going to edit in Pro. The second one is a map service. This is the representative data that will show up in City Viewer. This map service is not editable. This feature service is editable. So we're going to go there, we're going to double click. Essentially, the feature service opens up like it's a folder. First thing we want to do is you can come here to the topology, right click on it, add to current map. What it's going to do is it's going to add all the data that participates in the topology to the service. Don't add these validation. These validation will add in a second, and I'll show you how to do that. So I need you guys to look at the symbology for all of this to make sure I don't have any gaps or holes and the data aligns with the way the symbology is set up. This is I took the symbology from the current MXD that we use to maintain the City Viewer. Now, GPL proposed. If you guys don't want this data set, I think we should kill it. I didn't go in here and tweak any of the symbology. I just took what was there. If it's not a used data set, to me, the purpose of this data set was pre-versioning. Because if you wanted to do proposal, you just create a version, make your changes in the version, see how it looks, make your map with the version. You don't like it, kill the version, create another version, put your proposals there, right? You can use versions in that sense to kind of help show your proposals. It's up to you guys. Let me know. What do you want to do with it? There's the symbology for specific plans. Check that out. Make sure that's right. And then the zoning. Take a look at all this. Make sure this is all good. And that the symbology shows up over here. Like we don't have those little gaps that we talked about earlier. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now what you can do is on any of these data sets, oh, you know what you don't have in here? Tentative maps. Tentative maps, not topology. I don't know what you're going to use this for. This is just, hey, Cadastral wasn't maintaining it. It was part of the planning service, so you guys have access to edit it. I guess I could add topology if you want to, but you guys let me know. So on any of these data sets, you can right click on them, and you're going to come up here and say Add Air Layers. Now, what are these air layers? It's just an overview video. The air layers are for doing data reviewer checks. I have 3 domain checks built in to 3 data sets. I have a domain check for land use, a domain check for specific plan, and for zoning. And I'll create a video down maybe tomorrow, maybe this weekend, maybe Monday, to show you how to do data reviewer. Yeah, so that's because we implemented it with Christie. We never enforced it, or the JS team, other than me, never enforced it for ArcMap. And then you moved to Pro, so didn't necessarily have an easy way to do it in Pro. And now all we're doing is we're looking at just domains, and we're doing that for everybody in the city. Going forward, the plan would be, time we can implement more data reviewer checks as they make sense. But for everybody, every branch version workflow, only the domain checks for everybody. And then if you have subtypes, we're implementing subtype checks. You don't have subtypes. And in some cases, we're doing regular expression checks, which are like, I need 9 numbers inside of APN. If there's a letter in there, like a 0 and it's an O, flags it as an error. That'd be like a regular expression check. And we do it for track maps and whatnot for that as well too. Okay, so once we have this data, and you check this out, I mean, this is a service. So let's see what else. Quick little synopsis here. If you want to start editing, you have SD default planning edits. You can either come in here and say click manage versions. What I prefer to do, what I've been training everybody to do, click on default, come up here to versioning, click on the new version button, call it oh, am I stupid? That was dumb. I put it up here. It's late. It's 10 o'clock. I'll make it protected, and I'm going to switch to it. Change to the new version. Let's say OK. That's the easiest way to do it. There's another way to do it, the other way, and I'll show you that in a second. But what that does is it creates the version and sets it protected or public, whatever. The only people that are in the group have access to this data. So when I come over here to city test maps and I look at planning, in the old system, in the ArcMap days or the traditional version days, everybody had to be added to the database. And if you weren't in the database, you couldn't add the data. Well, in here, nobody gets access to the database. Everybody goes through portal. And the way you get access to the data is you got to be a member. Let me add a couple people that probably should be on here. So Ken, myself, Marisol and Matt. Marisol, Matt, Bruce, Ken, myself, and UN Admin. UN Admin owns the data in the database, and it owns the service on here. Seems like we need more. I think that's good. Okay, so basically you're setting up on a city test maps. You guys have access to this planning edit group, and here's all the data. When we get closer to deployment, which probably be this weekend if you guys get back to me tomorrow, I will share this map service to the public, and then that service will actually get added to CityViewer. So, and then I'll come back and I'll circle back and do circulation. I'm not changing anything on circulation. I have a domain check in here, but that's pretty much it. No intelligence or anything. I mean, you got contingent values. I don't know what I'll have to revisit that. So that's city test maps, and that's the planning group, planning edits. Then so we created a version. Okay, back to Pro. Jumping around, it's late. Okay, so what we could do is we could come in here, we can click on manage versions, and then you get the same dialogue that you currently do with traditional. And you could literally come in here and say new, creates a version, then you have to define the access, and then you got to come back here and change to it. If you're not using 3.2, you probably want to tell Ken, hey, give me 3.2.2, that's what I'm running. And 3.2 gives you the ability to say when you're editing your version, you can just switch to default. I mean, there's lots of other capabilities in here, but yeah, so that's how you create a version. And then you go in and edit, you make your changes. So let's see, what did I do? Let's see, can you see what I did on the, okay, good. So based on the general plan, I came in here and I set these values, NSP and CBUSP, and then MU. I had one of these that were blank, if I recall, and then I had this. I added. Oh, it's. Yeah. Okay. Let me think. I added this 3.2, so that was new, and I think that's about it. Wasn't missing one in here that we added. And then of course I have the other one would be zoning, where I added the NC. There, and there, and then that was it. And so once you go in here, just like it's a regular version, you can go in and delete stuff. Now, this is the color pattern of the symbology that's going to be in CityViewer. Because it's in Pro, you can come in here and change the colors the way you want that makes you most comfortable when you're editing. Maybe you want to see all the zone colors or the general plan colors, but I find it's easier sometimes. Maybe to have two. Maybe come in here and say, you know what, I still want to look at this, but I'm gonna make a copy of it, and then come back in here and paste a copy, and then make no color. And for me, that helps me for editing. I have labels. The labels are here drawing just because this is the underlying service that gets fed into. Okay, I don't. For the CityViewer, that's why the labels are there. But please take a look at the colors. Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be and that there's no gaps in the data. And then this data will replace it. I'm looking at it. I think it was MUUs or MUVs. I don't necessarily. That's beautiful, man. The colors in this. I don't know, in Pro just pop. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that. So right now it's untitled, so you can either save it as a project if you want to, but it is still the test box. Cool thing about it is everything is actually saved up here on the server. So if I want to, my version will still live in Portal. I can come up here, I can save it, or I can just close it. And then I'll just re-add it as a service back and just go through those same steps. So what I'll wind up doing is I'll create a package for you guys too with the planning data. But your data is so simple, if you will. It's only 5 polygons. It's just easier to just add the data actually from the service. So that's an overview of what I did and what the data looks like.